So I guess it's my split screen that times out because the recorder still works. But so anyway, I made this. I made an additional pangram of coder keys, and I found out, you really need to change your key layout because a bunch of them were pretty hard. And, there's a bunch of them were like impossible. It's still not, could be easier. And this is something that I can drill down into. But I have been able to really improve the key layout so that they're more kind of organized a little bit, like the numbers are similar, and uh, there's some system to it a bit. And so improving the key layout is one. Like, I'm having trouble with this key right here. And then the other is improving this glyph, because I still do a lot of times read it wrong and spend like a while trying to learn a keystroke and going, why isn't this working, when I'm actually just keying it wrong. I'm reading the glyph wrong. And so it's supposed to be the bold or the green border is start, then the light green is the next key, and then the black is the stop. And they kind of become progressively darker to indicate the order. And so that's good, but a lot of it is based on just my understanding of how to do SVGs. I was trying to use a SVG symbol, and then I tried using an SVG group, and I was trying to use the use statement, and I think what's working better is just just editing this SVG on the fly. Edit the SVG on the fly. Well, actually, the other step is create all the SVG fonts in advance, which I've kind of done down here. They don't have the same notation with the green, starting with the green border, but there's a step in the direction. I've made the hand look a little less symmetrical, because I kept getting my index finger mixed up with my thumb. So I made the thumb a little more stand out as a thumb, that it's shaped a little different and kind of looks like it's pointing in, that kind of thing. So the glyphs, the closer they get to, you see it, and you have you automatize the keystrokes, so that the keystrokes become second nature. That's really what I'm going for. That's the whole idea behind this Handex, is that each keystroke is going to become second nature. The idea is you're going to learn this early in life, and you're going to carry one keyboard with you with one set of keystrokes that you can add on to, compose, tweak, customize yourself. You can use with different special keys, for instance, APL or Unicode keys. So there will be standard keys, a standard setup that you can use that will help you initialize your own keyboard. But after that, you'll just store your code page up on GitHub or something, and you can access it anywhere, anytime, anywhere in the world. GitHub or S3, whatever you pick. It's just going to be a CSV file that is, super easily readable and everything. and it's going to produce these SVGs for your key code page. In addition, at that point, those can be turned, they could hypothetically be turned into a font, because these are SVGs. They're actually very limited, like very few lines of code to write these SVGs, as few points as possible on each of these curves and everything. So, very lightweight, and then they can be turned into a font, and then you could put that font into your Word document or whatever, type out a bunch of words, and you could see immediately, here's how I would key that in on my Keydex, that type of thing. But also, when I improve these SVGs, and I have some ideas, I think the first one is going to be a play button, the last one's going to have a stop button, and then probably some dot indicators for this is where it is in the sequence between start and stop, where you'll kind of count it out. But it's sort of visual. I want it to be visual, where you don't have to like calculate a number or anything. It has to be swiftly recognizable by the eye and converted. The eye-to-hand coordination has to be automatized, a bit like a habit, or reflexive, the kind of reflex you train for. That's what's coming up on these. So I'm just going to be making more of these videos. This is my documentation process, and then I have more on Keydex.io, spelling this stuff out, kind of talking about why it's awesome. This right here is on Keydex.io, phrase to key converter. You can put in your own key phrase right now, and have it. You just put it here, and then so the other thing I was saying is I added kind of a coder pangram, and so that is because I want to cover all the keys. I want to be able to walk around and think of Python code in my head, or APL or anything, fetch data from the web, splice it, analyze it, map it on the fly while I'm walking. There's a lot of steps to get from where I am right now to that point, but these are all steps. Those are the steps that I'm taking are in that direction. That's the direction that these steps are going, is towards that. It doesn't matter the total completion, because the end intent might be slightly different than what I just described, but I want to move in that direction where, instead of being tied to a desk and being tied, so thinking people, thinking information workers, and all the thinking people. Why do they have to be in an office, often without a window, at a desk? Sure, I have a standing desk, but, the standing desk is kind of an admission that the sitting desk kind of screwed people up, I definitely have had to sit at a desk working, where I had to be on calls and coding and typing for a number of hours a day. When I stood up, there was like a blood flush, like my legs had been gone to sleep practically. Maybe they hadn't completely, but there was a different reorganization of the blood flow of the body that was, like, why constrict it so much all day long? You're thinking a lot. Thinking requires blood flow to the brain. it's probably not good to have a lot of blood flowing to one part of your body and the rest of your body being constricted in blood flow, like your legs just falling asleep while your brain is overheating. So I think a lot of people throughout history, throughout time, and all over the world, millions of people today buy stand-up desks probably because they realize, there's a circulatory issue with sitting in a totally lethargic thing in a not entirely comfortable chair. Like right now I'm walking, I'm pacing back and forth, and I'm talking. I think that those two go together. It makes sense for your blood flow to energize your brain and also to, cool it off. You don't get a headache as much if you're kind of walking around. You're breathing oxygen, you have the total body flow. I think you think better a lot of times in these kinds of scenarios. And so that's why I want to do this. That's why I did this code pangram, is because I think coding is a good way of thinking. I like how coding teaches you to think, or I like the type of thinking that coding teaches you to stay within the discipline of. You can composition, conceptual composition, and non-contradiction, Boolean non-contradiction type thing, error checking. All of that stuff is very good. So I think it will be good for people to be able to code, or at least work with code, or type commands while they're walking and talking. You could imagine being able to place a phone call or to send a text. Here's one of the dream scenarios. You send a text message without looking down. So let's say you're a first responder and you arrive on site and you want to start sending messages back to headquarters. So you got to pull out this pad, let's say there's not a specific person you want to call. You want to send to a group. You want to send to a group and notify people. Here's what's going on in this location. So you want to SMS a group, or you want to put it in a Slack channel to a group. So what is the thing that people complain about all the time? Oh, I've got to look down. Why is everyone looking down at their screens? This is just the most shrill complaint you hear continuously. Look at all the people looking down at their screens. Oh, horror. Well, I don't think it's always a horror. I think you got to learn when you can. A lot of people looking at their screens are getting messages or sending messages. They're not all just watching the latest dance video on TikTok or whatever other caricaturization of what people use their phones for. They might be doing something important. In fact, most of the places I hear people say, "Quit looking at your phones," is on my phone. I get the message from people on the phone, and they're telling me, "Don't use the phone." But we do use the phone for important things. We should for important things, but we shouldn't have to look down at it unless we're reading. And even when we're reading, we could have the earbud in and have it read the text to you. Then when you want to send the message back, use your Keydex. You don't look down at the phone. You don't take your eyes off of the surrounding area. You don't take your eyes off. You keep looking around and see what's going on. That's what we want. That's the kind of thing we have mobile communications for. So that's what Keydex does. it's going to make mobile communications more communicable and more active and more peripatetic. So you can just walk around and do it. Walk around and send messages. You don't have to, you don't have to hold up a video camera and go, look, everybody, I'm videoing like I'm doing right now. There's a lot of scenarios where you wouldn't want to do that. Let's say a woman walking around at night, something's bothering her, somebody's following her. She can send a message from her Keydex without even indicating that she's getting her phone out. No one even sees she has a phone. She's just sending a message without looking down, without taking her eyes off of the environment. She keeps her eyes up, looking around, aware, watching what's going on, turning around, scoping the situation, as anybody in a dangerous situation should do. They shouldn't be looking down. They shouldn't be looking coy and attackable. They should be scanning, glancing a lot. With a Keydex, you can do that and still send messages easily. But so much more. You could, execute commands on your phone, play this music, open this app, all kinds of things that you could just be sending commands from like a command line. That's the direction that Keydex is going in. Anyway, this is a super long video. I'm going to get back to the next videos of actually typing all the characters. Since now I have the coder pangram, I can start typing code type stuff, code notes while I'm walking. That'll be fun. Bye-bye.